Since the day we each were born, we have been awakening to the world at our own pace, shaped by influences that touch our lives. Now, when we reflect back on childhood, those awakenings may seem really small. But if I can lift up a few things from the last few years, we can see how deeply we've been challenged to awaken to truths that we've once either avoided or ignored. I begin with Black Lives Matter. The Me Too movement, a global pandemic. Now, many of you may say, what did we have to learn from a global pandemic? But we had a lot to learn from a global pandemic. A widening political divide. Decisions and reversals from our nation's highest court. And there's so much more. Those are the big. But these realities demand that we awaken not only to ourselves, but also to one another. Because awakening is not complete until it is shared. To awaken alone is called isolation. To awaken together is to build community. We have to recognize that in a culture shaped by capitalism, worth is measured by hours logged in, productivity achieved, and this relentless climb for individual perfection. And in that circumstance, it becomes difficult to admit our deep need for rest and renewal, for tending to the soul, and leaning on the care of one another. We can see this in reports put out, I pulled from a couple of years ago. You'll see that's my level of trust in what the CDC is currently putting out. But a couple of years ago, the depression and suicide rates had risen dramatically, so much so it was marked as the highest and fastest rise in the last 2 decades. So much so that suicide is now the leading cause of death in our country. The leading cause of death. National Institute of Health reported that 19.1% of all U.S. adults, nearly 1 in 5, so think about how many people are in this room and how many you're sitting next to, 1 in 5, experience anxiety levels high enough to be considered significant every day. So if we kind of translate that right now, that's 10 or 15 people in this room are living with significant anxiety right now. And those are the ones who have named it for themselves and have sought out help. I also want to acknowledge this is not a modern problem. In early times, when survival meant growing one's food and building one's shelter, human beings were anxious. And they turned to rituals for renewal, to community for care. They celebrated and mourned and prayed together. They shared burdens and sought blessings and found resilience in belonging. So what rituals in your life help you connect with your best self? That self you want to show to the world. That self, if you're a dog owner, believes you to be. Right? Your very best self. And what rituals bring you ease? We often imagine rituals as these ancient or elaborate events. But many, and I would dare to say all of us, have daily routines. The morning rhythm of coffee or tea, showering, of your medicine, of prayer or meditation, an evening ritual, shutting off the lights, offering some gratitude, preparing for bed and sleep. There are practices in our days that soothe our anxieties, like singing or walking, cooking, creating. And if you don't do them, they're the ones, your rituals are the ones that if you don't do it on a morning, your whole day is off. Right? Even down to, I forgot to turn the coffee pot off because I was out of order. Things were out of order. Those are our daily rituals. Our ancestors didn't have quite so many things to look around and make sure we're turned off before we left the house. And they created rituals more to understand the world. We create rituals to stay connected to one another, to ourselves, and to that we call sacred. And in those connections, we find belonging. Just a couple of weeks ago, we shared in water communion, the ritual ingathering, and weaving our individual stories into one shared stream. Today, as we honor Mabon, one of the 8 holy days of the Wheel of the Year, we mark that second harvest, the balance of day and night, and how days from here grow shorter and the lights grow longer. And for those of us who suffer with seasonal depression or what I call dark anxiety, when it gets darker, your anxiety goes up, we find ritual ways to ease our minds. In some parts of the country, like this one, we've felt, I don't know if you've noticed this week, the shift, the crispness of the air, the temperature. The orchards changed from fruits to squash. Some died back in their ritual of rest. In the south of the U.S. and towards the equator, some are feeling relief from heat and a return to an outdoor living that we maybe experience most of the year. Wherever we live, the equinox invites us to notice the turning of the season and reflect on the balance. So as you entered this morning, you were given 2 stones, one white and one black. I ask you to hold one in each hand, please. These are for you to take home. You can leave them here if you don't need any more stuff in your home. But one in each hand, and look at them. What do you notice? Why are they different? And I want to share with you a meditation. These are the words of the Unitarian Universalist educator, Jackie Janes. Dark and light, light and dark. Black male, black list, black mark. Black Monday, black mood, black hearted, black plague, black mass, black market. Good guys wear white, bad guys wear black. We fear black cats and the dark continent. But it's okay to tell a white lie. Lily white hands are coveted. It's great to be pure as the driven snow. Angels and brides wear white. Devil's food cake is chocolate. Angel's food cake is white. We shape language, and we are shaped by it. In our culture, white is esteemed. It is heavenly, sun-like, clean, pure, immaculate, innocent, and beautiful. At the same time, black is vilified as evil, wicked, gloomy, depressing, angry, sullen. Ascribing negative and positive values to black and white enhances the institutionalization of this culture's racism. Let us acknowledge the negative connotations of whiteness. White things can be soft, vulnerable, placid, and ashen. Light can be blinding, bleaching. Conversely, we must also acknowledge the darkness has a redemptive character, that in the darkness there is power and beauty. The dark nurtured and protected us before our birth. Welcome, darkness. Don't be afraid of it or deny it. It brings relief from the blinding sun, from the scorching heat, and from exhausting labor. Night signals permission to rest, to be with our loved ones, to conceive new life, to search our hearts, to remember our dreams. The dark of winter is a time of hibernation. Seeds grow in the dark, fertile earth. The words black and dark don't need to be destroyed or ignored, but balanced and reclaimed in their wholeness. The words white and light don't need to be destroyed or ignored, only balanced and reclaimed in their wholeness. Imagine a world that only had light or dark. We need both. Dark and light, light and dark. These are the words of Jackie James. These words have been touchstones for me. I had the privilege of meeting Jackie through another colleague many years ago. She has since gone to be with the ancestors. But she taught a lot about balance, about how we combat our training. I don't say it's innate, but our training to place judgment on something so simple as color names. And yet we instill them and ensconce them. But I return to this reading time and time again to remind me to challenge my assumptions, to resist the binary that leads to judgment, and to claim a full spectrum of life. Into this practice of balance, we can awaken to belonging. We belong not only to the light, but to the dark. We belong not only to joy, but to sorrow. We belong not only to strength, but to vulnerability. That belonging means wholeness, means everyone. Our wholeness requires a balance. One of the ways in this season that we can balance out the capitalistic pressures we are all trained toward is by recognizing the community or communities that support us, by recognizing the earth and the bounty it provides. Mabon, the season of gratitude. Did you know that Mabon now used to be the celebration of Thanksgiving? It's what we now celebrate as Thanksgiving much farther down the road. But it was a reminder to our ancestors too, to mark the moment of the harvest. So I ask you this morning to hold those stones. Take a moment and think about, what are you grateful for? What have you learned about yourself, about this community, about this world that you need to balance? What are you awakening to in this season? Remember now that awakening is not a solitary act. It's not just about noticing. It's about noticing together. When we notice in community, we make deeper connections with each other and deeper belonging. So as you go into coffee hour, this is a perfect time to share with one another what you're grateful for. That you are truly grateful for each other.